It all began with a single photograph, a lush green valley surrounded by misty mountains and wooden cottages powered by the sun. The caption read, "Welcome to Aurora, the self-sustaining eco-village hidden beyond the forest." From the moment I saw it, I knew I had to go there. I had read countless articles about sustainability and green living, but I wanted to experience it firsthand. As an English learner and storyteller, I believed that every journey could become both a language lesson and a life lesson. After several days of travel, my bus reached the edge of civilization, a small station where concrete roads gave way to dirt paths. From there, I walked for hours, guided by a narrow trail and the sound of running water. My backpack was heavy, and the air grew cooler as I climbed. Finally, through the fog, I saw the first glimpse of Aurora wooden houses with green roofs, wind turbines turning slowly, and smiling people who seemed perfectly at peace. A woman in her 40s greeted me at the entrance. "You must be the visitor from the city," she said warmly. "I'm Leona, one of the coordinators here. Welcome to Aurora." Her voice carried the calm confidence of someone who had found balance in life. She led me through a garden overflowing with vegetables and herbs. "Everything you see here," she explained, "was built by the community. No machines, no pollution. Just cooperation and patience." I was amazed. The air smelled of rain and fresh soil, and everywhere I looked, there were signs of harmony between people and nature. Solar panels covered rooftops, and water flowed through bamboo pipes. Even waste was carefully sorted and transformed into compost or biofuel. As we walked, Leona explained the village's philosophy. "We believe sustainability isn't just about technology, it's about relationships. Every person here contributes to the cycle of life. What we take, we give back." That evening, I joined the villagers for dinner. We sat around a long wooden table lit by handmade candles. The food was simple but delicious. Fresh vegetables, homemade bread, and herbal tea. There was laughter, quiet conversation, and music played on wooden flutes. For the first time in months, I felt completely disconnected from the noise of the modern world, yet deeply connected to the people around me. The next morning, I decided to help with the daily tasks. My group was responsible for maintaining the irrigation system. We worked together to clean the water channels that brought fresh mountain water to the fields. As we worked, an older man named Tomas told me, "Water is the lifeblood of this place. If we take care of it, it takes care of us." His English was simple but poetic, a reminder that language is not only about grammar, but also about emotion. Every sentence he spoke carried wisdom born from experience. Later, I interviewed Leona for my English learning project. I asked her what inspired her to leave the city and start a new life here. She smiled softly. "I used to work in a big company," she said. "I had money, but no peace. I realized that the modern world teaches us how to earn, not how to live. So I came here to learn again, to learn how to listen, how to grow, how to breathe." Her words stayed with me. As I practiced writing them down in my journal, I noticed how powerful language became when it was connected to meaning. Words like sustainability, resilience, and community were no longer abstract, they were alive. On the third day, I joined the villagers in a tree planting ceremony. Every new member planted one tree as a symbol of commitment to the earth. When it was my turn, I placed a young sapling into the soil and whispered a quiet promise to live more thoughtfully, to learn continuously, and to share stories that inspire others to care for our planet. That night, as I watched the stars from a wooden balcony, I realized how different this world felt. There were no streetlights or cars, just the soft hum of wind turbines and the distant call of night birds. I thought about how easy it is to forget the beauty of simplicity when surrounded by technology and speed. Before leaving, Leona handed me a small notebook made from recycled paper. "Write your story," she said. "That's how change begins, with one story, one voice." The journey back to the city felt strange. The noise, the screens, the rush. Everything seemed louder than before. But I carried something new with me. A sense of calm, a vocabulary of awareness, and a deeper understanding of how language can reflect the way we live. When I began writing my story, I realized that journey to the remote eco-village was not only a story about environmental living, it was about human connection, mindfulness, and learning. I used English to describe emotions that once felt too complex to explain. I wrote about how each person in Aurora contributed to a circle of care, and how even the smallest actions, planting a tree, saving water, sharing a meal, could become powerful lessons in both language and life. Learning English through this experience taught me that every word carries responsibility. When we say care, grow, protect, or sustain, we're not just speaking, we're shaping the world around us. Today, whenever I feel overwhelmed by city life, I open that notebook and read Leona's words again. The modern world teaches us how to earn, not how to live. And I remember that true learning in language or in life always begins with listening to the world, one story at a time. It was a bright and unusually warm afternoon when I found myself standing outside the Global Climate Research Center. The sun glared down from a sky that should have been soft and blue, yet it shimmered with a faint orange haze. I was there for an interview, not a job interview, but a conversation I had been preparing for weeks. My goal was to meet Dr. Leela Morgan, one of the most respected climate scientists in the world. Dr. Morgan had spent decades studying rising temperatures, melting ice caps, and extreme weather patterns. She was known for her calm yet passionate explanations that made even the most complex climate data sound human and urgent. For my English learning project, I wanted to create a story that not only improved my language skills, but also deepened my understanding of how science connects to everyday life. Meeting her felt like the perfect opportunity. As I entered the glass building, I noticed how everything inside seemed designed to remind visitors of nature. The walls displayed photographs of glaciers, forests, and coral reefs. A small fountain trickled near the reception desk, and a quiet hum of computers filled the air. When Dr. Morgan appeared, she carried a tablet, a reusable water bottle, and a welcoming smile. "Thank you for coming," she said, her voice soft but confident. "I always enjoy meeting people who are curious about our planet." I smiled nervously. "It's an honor, Dr. Morgan. I'm learning English through storytelling, and I wanted to share your message in a way that's both educational and emotional." She nodded approvingly. "That's a wonderful idea. Stories can reach people's hearts faster than statistics." We sat by a window that overlooked a garden of solar-powered research equipment. As our conversation began, I asked her what motivated her to study climate change. She paused for a moment, her eyes reflecting both sadness and determination. "When I was a child," she began, "I lived near the coast. I remember watching the sea each evening, how peaceful it seemed. But every year, the water crept closer. The beach where I used to play is now gone. That's when I realized the planet is changing, and it needs voices to speak for it." Her words struck me deeply. English learners often talk about finding meaning in language. But that day, I discovered meaning in silence, in the pause between her sentences, where emotion replaced vocabulary. She showed me a series of maps on her tablet. "This," she said, pointing to bright red zones, "is where the temperature has risen by more than 2 degrees in the past 50 years. That small number might not seem dangerous, but it's enough to disrupt crops, melt glaciers, and cause storms." I asked how people could help. "Change begins with awareness," she replied. "Even small actions, reducing waste, saving energy, supporting green innovation, matter. But most importantly, we must talk about it. Language can be as powerful as science." Her statement fascinated me. She was not only a scientist, but also a storyteller, translating complex data into emotions and choices. I realized that learning English was not only about grammar or pronunciation, it was about communicating ideas that inspire action. As our discussion continued, Dr. Morgan shared her experiences from expeditions in the Arctic. She described standing on melting ice, hearing it crack beneath her boots. "It's like listening to the planet breathe and struggle," she said. "The sound is unforgettable." I listened closely, practicing active comprehension. Every word she spoke painted vivid images in my mind: glaciers breaking apart, forests burning, animals searching for lost homes. It was not just a story, it was a call to consciousness. Before I left, she gave me one final piece of advice. "Keep learning," she said, "because language gives you the power to explain the world and maybe even to save it." That night, I replayed the interview in my head, repeating key sentences to practice my pronunciation. "Change begins with awareness." The phrase echoed like a mantra. It reminded me that English, when used with purpose, becomes more than a skill. It becomes a tool for empathy and global connection. The next day, I began writing my story. I wanted other English learners to feel the same inspiration I had felt. I described the meeting, her passion, and the lessons hidden between her scientific explanations. I used new vocabulary like sustainability, resilience, and ecosystem. These words were not just academic terms. They were windows into understanding the world's balance. As I wrote, I realized that storytelling is a bridge between science and humanity. A climate scientist uses data to explain the truth. A storyteller uses language to make people feel it. And when both meet, something powerful happens. Knowledge becomes compassion. Weeks later, I received an email from Dr. Morgan. She had read my story. "You captured the essence perfectly," she wrote. "Language is how we build a better world, one word at a time." Her message filled me with pride. I had started this journey to practice English, but I ended up discovering something far greater: the ability to use language to connect with people, protect the planet, and share hope. Now, every time I study English, I think of that warm afternoon, the orange-tinted sky, and the scientist who reminded me that learning is not just about understanding words. It is about understanding the world. And maybe, just maybe, with every learner who listens and every story told, the planet gains one more voice willing to protect it.